Beyoncé is one of the biggest names in the music industry, praised for her talent, work ethic, and longevity. But what if her rise wasn't just about talent? What if behind the scenes, power moves, backroom deals, and sabotage played a key role in securing her throne? From Mathew Knowles' alleged industry tactics to the sidelining of other black female artists like Kelly Rowland, Amerie, and LaToya Luckett, this is the untold story of how Beyoncé became the undisputed queen of pop. Beyoncé's father, Mathew Knowles, wasn't just a manager. He was a strategist. A former Xerox executive with experience in corporate America, Mathew knew how to manipulate the industry to his daughter's advantage. And that meant making sure no one else in her lane could shine quite as bright. This had been happening since she was a child, and they were developing the group, especially her. She was always front and center, the lead singer, and he made sure the focus was always on her. Payola, the practice of paying DJs and radio stations to heavily promote certain artists, was allegedly one of Mathew's most used tactics. Industry insiders have long speculated that Columbia Records, with Mathew's influence, funneled money to ensure Beyoncé's singles dominated the airwaves. This allegedly created an unfair playing field where other artists, even those on the same label, were pushed to the side. Kelly Rowland, Beyoncé's childhood friend and fellow Destiny's Child member, had all the makings of a superstar. But her solo debut in 2002 was rushed, allegedly, so it wouldn't interfere with Beyoncé's big launch in 2003. After Destiny's Child went on hiatus, Kelly was unexpectedly forced to drop Simply Deep, a project that many believe was hastily put together. At the time, Columbia wasn't even promoting her album properly. Meanwhile, Mathew was secretly crafting Beyoncé's grand entrance. Kelly's momentum from her hit single Dilemma with Nelly could have led to a stronger solo career, but instead, her album was rushed out to clear the way for Beyoncé. At least that's how most tell the story. But the truth is a little grimier than you might think. Allegedly, what really happened was Beyoncé had every intention on releasing her first solo debut album sooner than what we know. But the issue is she was a flop. Her first single, Work It Out, flopped hard, and the record label as well. Her team panicked. The company heard her album had no faith in it. They said all the songs were whack, and the failure of Work It Out cemented the thought. Also, supposedly, B was supposed to be going for a neo-soul image and album at the time. They didn't really know what to do with her, so they halted everything and pushed back production so they could start from scratch, giving B more time to craft something better. In the meantime, not only did they rush Kelly's work and force her out too soon, they also had their eyes on another up-and-coming artist that was making major waves. Amerie was a rising star in the early 2000s, with a unique sound crafted by producer Rich Harrison. But in an industry full of power plays, her moment was short-lived. In this screenshot here, an industry insider, a DJ as a matter of fact, tells the story of what actually happened with the sabotage of Amerie, how Beyoncé's dad Mathew used illegal ways to push his daughter, and how they were grimy to get B out there to the public in a major way. Insiders claim that Crazy in Love, Beyoncé's 2003 breakout hit, was originally created for Amerie. But after Beyoncé's first solo single, Work It Out, flopped, panic set in. Columbia Records and Mathew Knowles allegedly knew they needed something bigger, something that would guarantee Beyoncé's solo success. That's when Rich Harrison, the mastermind behind Amerie's One Thing, was pressured into giving Beyoncé a song that had the same raw, go-go inspired sound. The result? Amerie's signature style was repackaged for Beyoncé, and Columbia Records seemingly stopped prioritizing Amerie altogether. But just stealing a sound wasn't enough. They needed to make sure Crazy in Love dominated the airwaves. And that's where Payola came in. Several industry insiders, including DJs, have claimed that Mathew Knowles personally paid radio stations to keep Crazy in Love on heavy rotation. In fact, one DJ even admitted that Mathew Knowles paid him directly to push the song. This wasn't an isolated incident. Around this time, Sony BMG, the parent company of Columbia Records, was caught in a major Payola scandal, where leaked emails exposed executives bribing radio stations to play their top artists. Columbia knew how to play the game, and Beyoncé was their priority. With non-stop airplay, Crazy in Love became inescapable. What the public saw as an organic smash hit was, in reality, a carefully manufactured success story, one that came at the expense of other Black female artists, including Amerie. After that, Columbia shifted their focus entirely to Beyoncé, leaving Amerie without the industry push she needed to reach the next level. And we can see that this wasn't the first or last time the Knowles clan did grimy things to get their way. They even did this to her childhood friend and ex-group member. LaToya Luckett was an original member of Destiny's Child, but after challenging Mathew Knowles' management, she and Latavia Robertson were ousted from the group. But Mathew didn't just stop at removing them. He allegedly worked behind the scenes to make sure they wouldn't thrive in the industry. One of the most notorious claims, Mathew reportedly told award shows and industry executives that if LaToya was invited, Beyoncé wouldn't show up. And since Beyoncé was the bigger name, executives chose to cut LaToya out of events altogether. LaToya eventually found success as a solo artist, but not without years of struggling against a system that seemed determined to erase her. And there's more and other talks of possible sabotage of other Black female artists like Ciara, Tara Marie, and another one that B completely humiliated. Fast forward to the 2015 Grammys. R&B singer Ledisi had performed Precious Lord, Take My Hand in Selma, a film about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Everyone expected her to perform the song at the Grammys, but at the last minute, Beyoncé stepped in and took over the performance. Many questioned why Beyoncé, who had no involvement with the film, was given the song instead of Ledisi. It was a stark reminder of how the industry consistently prioritizes Beyoncé at the expense of other Black female artists. Beyoncé's talent is undeniable, but the industry isn't just about talent, it's about power, strategy, and connections. With Mathew Knowles pulling the strings, Beyoncé's path was cleared, often at the expense of other Black female artists. Is it right? Is it okay? No, but it's show business. So, lurkers, was Beyoncé's success purely organic? Or was it carefully orchestrated to ensure no competition could thrive?